Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it was not that long ago we were like, yes, Control Warrior, it's back. Warrior is going to be good. Titans is going to come out. We got all these awesome Warrior cards, and well, as you can see at HS Replay across all ranks, Warrior not killing it, and it's even worse than what this appears, as the Warrior problem continues to persist for over a year now, with some exceptions throughout that. We're going to talk about what exactly is going on. What is Warrior missing? Are the devs just trying to kill Control Warrior? Talk about all that. And if you enjoy the content on the channel and you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like. It helps us out a ton. And I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you. So yeah, Warrior across all ranks. You can see I'm shocked that Demon Hunter is this low, but for the most part, none of the new cards are good. And most people just don't want to play Relic or Outcast, so it's kind of dropping. And Druid was at like 35% before the last set came out. Keeps going up, but it's not exactly killing it, even at the higher ranks. It's just kind of there. But speaking of those higher ranks, we already talked about this the other day, that, yeah, Mech Rogue killing it, basically the best deck in the game, alongside Rainbow Mage and Hound Hunter. Those are kind of the agreed upon best three decks in the game. One scams you like by turns 3 and 4, one OTKs you, installs the game, and the other is just a really consistent aggressive style of deck. And you also have other Hunter decks. You can see Relic Demon Hunter, by the way. Relic and Outcast are like good decks, right? Top 1000 Legend. People across all ranks just don't want to play it. They're playing the new cards, and they're not very good. So that's why the win rate's so low across all ranks. But what about Warrior? Where's Warrior? It's really interesting to note as we go through the data, basically since Titans came out on HS Replay, Rage Warrior is a good deck still, right? Like, that's been the story of Warrior for like almost like, what, since Nathria and a bunch of buffs to Enrage after that, yeah, Enrage Warrior is playable. Nobody wants to play it. And it finally got so good last set that, yeah, it was like the best deck in the game before Titans came out, at least arguably. But you take a look at all these rankings, I don't even think we'll see Enrage Warrior, because people don't play Warrior to play Enrage Warrior. People, for the most part, have played Warrior either to play Pirates, right? Pirate Warrior or Control Warrior. And, well, neither have existed in the game for quite some time outside of Wild, I guess. And you got to go all the way down to the bottom. The last ranked deck in Top 1000 Legend, Control Warrior, 42%, which is really... it makes me very sad. It makes me very sad because they got really cool cards. We'll talk about that. We'll go over the cards they got, what the problem is, but I just want to go through the rankings. You take a look at, let's just say Legend, not High Legend. Where do we find Warrior out of all this? Second last with only Automaton Priest. I guess the High Legend players just don't even try, 33%. And then Control Warrior at 42%. We go, let's make it a little bit broader. Diamond through Legend. So, you know, you got more players, lower skill cap, more willing to play more stuff. Where's Warrior? It's at the bottom with Automaton Priest. And I guess the Legend players have figured out not to play Earthen Paladin. The Diamond through Legend players haven't figured it out. And you got Control Warrior and Rock and Roll Warrior, 40%. It's consistently bad at all ranks. We can even go all the way to Bronze through Gold, where the win rates just get really funky, really crazy, because it's like low rank gameplay. You never know what's going on. Are we even gonna, there's Enrage Warrior, we found it. Playable at Bronze through Gold. I think it's probably decent at higher ranks too, but at the end of the day, it doesn't fight probably very well against Mechs and Mage, so people just don't play it. But let's find that Control Warrior. Well, it looks like it's pretty darn low. So Control Warrior still struggling to just win at even the lowest ranks, where you would think it's the easiest. Control Warrior still sub 50%. So what has happened? Are the new cards bad? What's going on? Well, if we take a look at the Titan cards from the latest set, they got some really good stuff. They really did. Bellowing Flames is a great card. It's one of the only decent removal options for Warrior. That's part of the problem. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, it's great. Deal 5, that could be good in a pinch. It could kill a tempoed out Memoron, Hawkstrider Rancher, and if you forge this, it's like 10 damage for 3 mana with the forge setup, so 5 mana kind of. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a good card, and you play it in like any deck in Warrior that's trying to control. And there are obviously the control lists trying to make things work. It's just not good enough. Steam Guardian, another great card. It's card draw, it's potential mana cheat, it's an elemental that can work, like it works in any deck deck, right? Super good. They got that. So they got a bit of draw. They even got more draw with Stone Skin Armor. Again, pretty solid card. Not amazing, but good. Craftsman Hammer is better than I thought. I thought this card was useless, but just gaining that armor to stay alive, also pretty good. The Titan, yeah, not so great. Minotauran, phenomenal, removing, gaining armor. And Trial by Fire, another card that looked good on paper, but really expensive. The Scale of Onyxia comparison, not as good as I was hoping, because, well, you have to be at 7 mana as warrior to play it, and the trades are just kind of awkward. This card has not been lining up, but the big thing that got people really excited was Odin, Prime Designate, the legendary that whenever you gain armor, you also gain that much in attack. And this card is actually nuts. It is a ridiculously good card, but it's 8 mana. And the big problem that Control Warrior had before this set is they lacked a good win condition and good removal. They got a great win condition. Odin is ridiculous. I'd be terrified if they're like, well, Control Warrior is struggling, let's buff Odin to 7, although Odd Warrior players would rejoice. Regardless, this is not the type of card you want to buff. And looking at Odin's stats in like H's replay, you can see the played win rate. When you play this card, you win like 60% of the games, but that's where the big problem comes in. You gotta play him, and he's 8 mana. He doesn't do anything when you play him, and when you're trying to survive to him, and you're trying to remove boards to get to him, you're relying on warrior removal, which is not really very strong, and that's where the real problem gets into, and well, let's take a look at that. The problem is, every time you play Control Warrior, you're reminded of all the other standard sets, like Festival of Legends, that offer pretty much no AoE. You had tempo stuff, no removal, nothing along those lines. March the Lich King, again, no real AoE. You got minions, you got some minion presence, some janky, terrible taunts, but again, no real removal. You have Castle Nathria, which again, offered no real removal. Like Riot, you gotta get minions on the board to clear the board, or Ramornia, like that's more of the Enrage archetype. No removal. Again, they just no control tools. And you look at Sunken City, it's the same thing. You have no removal, no control tools whatsoever outside of minions, right? Like, you gotta rely on Trenchstalker to clear the board for 9 mana when your mech rogue opponents like got 8 million stats on turn 3, you're long dead. So they gotta rely on the core set. And what does the core set have for removal? Well, Whirlwind, so that's not really an answer. And outside of that, Blade Storm, which was a pretty bad card when it came out. I remember like, well, I guess I'm playing this because I can't play Warpath anymore, which was most of the time better than this, other than this removing like a really big Ibis at the time, like a really big minion. Other than that, it's never been very reliable. Just a 1 health token can screw everything up. And the other card is Brawl, which was good in 2014, but not amazing in 2014. It was good. We have gone through 9+ years of power creep to the point where you play a Brawl, you don't clear the board, you don't clear death rattles, you're just dead. Like this card, I think Brawl in today's game could be 4/3 mana and not be amazing. Like that is how things are, especially when you compare it to, you know, other classes and their board clears at respective mana costs. Like one of the only control classes that can work, all you gotta do is look at Priest. They have Clean the Scene, which when infused, which isn't too hard to do, you destroy all minions with 6 or less attack. You just obliterate the board. You have Shadowed Rune, which can clear a giant border. Take a look at Deathlight, you know. You have Blood Boil, which can be really solid, but of course the big comparison, Corpse Explosion, which can knock out death rattles, all sorts of stuff, as long as you have the corpses, which of course is an issue. It has a double blood rune requirement. The power level of the control tools that make the control decks barely playable, and you compare it to Warrior, there to me, it's not that far off. We are in a problem stage of Control Warrior where they just need some good removal. They just need some decent AoE. The last time they had a really good AoE wasn't that long ago from Fractured and Alterac Valley, Shield Shatter, which, by the way, feels like it would fit in pretty well in the current armor plan of gaining a bunch of armor, where this is kind of a conventional modern Hearthstone AoE. It cheats mana, it could go to 0, it hits everything, it's not like Brawl and random, and this was a card that was so good at one point, they nerfed it despite my complaining that they should nerf it. It got reverted later. By the way, when they nerfed this a year ago, that's when Control Warrior died and still has yet to recover. over a year ago. We've only had Enraged Warrior really make the cut since. Card like Shield Shatter is like a more modern version of what Warrior needs. And whether they do what I proposed on Twitter, trade Bladestorm in for Shield Shatter, love to see that, or we get like a new tool in the mini set or the next expansion. I feel like Control Warrior, you can buff cards, and I still don't feel like it gets there unless you just break something. You make Odin like 6 mana. Yeah, then it's great, because then I don't have to struggle to actually, you know, remove stuff so I can play my Odin. I could just play it because it doesn't cost a lot, but you don't want that, because once Odin gets online, it is uber broken. You're just getting smorked. It's pretty bad. Do I think the devs have it out for Control Warrior that it's not good enough, that they haven't given enough love? They gave it an incredible win condition that people really want to play. They're tanking Warrior's win rate doing it rather than playing Enraged because they want to play Odin. It's such a rad card. We just need those typical control tools to get us there. We've got the card draw. We got the win condition. We have the support minions. We have a lot of mid game. Just need removal. We need ways to remove the board, stay alive, be able to deal with mid-range or aggro strategies. That's what's lacking in Control Warrior, at least in my opinion right now. And I feel like it's not that far off. And I really hope that maybe they do an emergency addition to the core set like they said they could do. We saw them add stuff to Paladin, or the mini set really brings something in that can just let you survive, have a chance to survive, to play a card like Odin, get to your win condition, and do some really cool Control Warrior stuff, which I would like to do because it's such a freaking rad archetype. It's the first archetype I ever hit rank 1 legend with, and I'd love to attempt to again. I don't know if we'll ever get that high rank again, but I would love to play me some more Control Warriors. So let me know in the comments below. Do you agree? Is that what Warrior's missing? Is it more than that? Or do you have that secret build that no one's aware of it? Control Warrior is secretly absolutely insane at Bronze 10, and we'll have to wait and see what your deck is. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.